Hi, I'm Melissa Flores, Program Coordinator for Healthy Steps here at 0 to 3, and I'm just so excited to have the opportunity to help 0 to 3 in their efforts in highlighting Hispanic Heritage Month. For those of you who are tuning in, we thank you for joining. I'd like to begin by introducing Luisa Soaterna, who has graciously accepted our invitation to talk a little bit about her experiences as a Hispanic American woman and the work that she does to support early childhood professionals. Luisa, welcome. I'd love it if you could tell me a little bit about the work that you do to support the early childhood field, including the work you're doing here at 0 to 3. I'm really interested in learning the influence your heritage has on the work that you do.
Thank you, Melissa, and thank you everyone for joining us today. So I am with 0 to 3 at the NCECDTL. I'm the Director of Project Management and Technology Delivery. And my role really in the team is to support the project management pieces, as well as making sure that several of the applications that we manage, we have a learning management system. We have 5 going on 7 mobile applications. We have a website component that the National Center /0 to 3 manages on behalf of the Office of Head Start. So my job is making sure that we coordinate with vendors, stakeholders, and others to make sure that those services and products are doing what they're supposed to and meeting all of the standards and privacy requirements set by the feds. I also support our team in terms of thinking about the work plans as it pertains to translation efforts, thinking about how to structure a project. A lot of times we have projects in the queue that are involve not only our organization, but several of our partners. So we work across the board with some very talented project managers who are also housed at 0 to 3 and some of our other partner organizations. And my job is to really support them as they go on these adventures that sometimes feel like a lifetime, but are really sometimes only 3 months in length or 6 months. So I am not an early childhood professional by heart. My training is really public health, physics, and math. I sort of took a long path to end up in a nonprofit that supported early education, but my skill sets really support early education work by providing not only a cultural lens through my own personal experiences as a Latina, but also to being able to take what I consider some of my magic powers and being able to conceive a project from inception to completion in really helping our colleagues in the field work through that process. And so it's been a very rewarding, also sometimes very engaging experience, because subject matter experts have a very unique approach and a lens and a timeline to how they want to develop and prioritize things. And project managers were very direct and to the point and want to make sure that things get done and we have a timeline to meet. So I think my magic superpower is, like I said, as a Latina and my cultural heritage, being very thoughtful in how I frame things, being very specific around emotions and being able to read situations and individuals has really helped me in the work. And that's really what I do in trying to support our work as DTL, in trying to support the very many engaged folks that we have in our team that have their own lens and sort of their own areas of expertise that they bring to the table. And so I work with them through that. I think it's also been very rewarding for me because I am originally of Colombian descent. So I was born in Colombia, immigrated with my parents to the States when I was 13. We were undocumented for a time, and after a while, we established our life here. We are now all American citizens. I have a child. My husband has also become an American citizen. So I understand a lot of things that a lot of people have not had an experience. And many of our vendors from the IT perspective are from different cultures. And so I think it's also very rewarding to have that lens and to be able to support sort of the intricacies of navigating the work that we do with early childhood professionals, as well as the work that we do with IT professionals, which those two worlds are very opposing. Bienvenidos a todos y muchísimas gracias por su participación el día de hoy. Yo me llamo Luisa Soaterna, trabajo dentro de la organización con el departamento o la agencia que se llama NCCDTL. Y lo que yo hago en mi trabajo es trabajar con todos los proyectos y manejar los proyectos y las líneas de trabajo en términos de tecnología. Trabajo directamente con todos nuestros expertos que trabajan en el área de niños y las ramas que ellos trabajan. Y la idea es poder sacar lo mejor de ellos, que son sus áreas de enfoques, las experiencias que ellos tienen, y poder convertir esos recursos en proyectos que se pueden entregar a la oficina del gobierno federal. Entonces nosotros tenemos 5, casi 7 aplicaciones móviles. También tenemos una plataforma donde se ofrecen cursos. Y mi experiencia como colomboamericana me ha permitido trabajar fácilmente y navegar los mundos de la tecnología y trabajar con expertos dentro de la organización para poder llevar a fruto los proyectos que se tienen a cabo. Back to you, Melissa.
Oh, thank you, Luisa. And I have to give a very public shout out as Luisa completed her project management professional, which is a very, that's a hard PMP to get at the end of your name. And she did it in a very short period of time. I think it was last year or the year before. And if you can wear those credentials, then you've passed a very, very, very challenging test, which means she really can manage a project and knows her way around project management. So kudos to you, Luisa, on that.
Thank you. You're making me blush, but I appreciate that.
Well, thank you so much for telling us a little bit about that. And what an amazing story. I know that getting your citizenship and then excelling in your job and doing all these things just as a woman is very empowering, but as a Latin American woman, it's very inspiring, I'm sure, to your family and all of those tuning in, just not where you are, but where you can be. And thank you for sharing that. So I wanted to learn a little bit about whether or not your work has allowed you the opportunity to promote diversity, equity, and inclusion in the field that you do. And you've mentioned that it's not the early childhood field, that it's more project management. But the work that you do does support those working in the early childhood field. So I feel like it's very connected.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. You're right. It is very connected. And I have the privilege of working with a management team within DTL that's very connected to that. We have several members of our team, and I think within the management team, we just came from a conversation where we are all as a group going through like an equity course and having conversations about equity. So I think it's not so much the impact that I've had, but it's been a team effort, and really everyone brings something to the table because we are federally funded. Equity, obviously, this past year with COVID and everything else that has happened around the world, equity has sort of taken a new sort of front and center focus. So I would say that it hasn't necessarily been an impact that I've had on the organization or DTL, but more the circumstances and the colleagues that I have standing beside me as we move into the work of DTL. I do obviously bring my own perspective as a Latina, as a child immigrant, as a mother to a dual language learner, as a wife to someone, who currently faces a lot of challenges because of his appearance in the Northern Virginia area. So I think those are the pieces that we each bring to the table that makes us who we are as human beings and our experiences. But I also have to think about my team. So we're on the operations side. So we have designers on our team. We have individuals we have an LMS administrator. We have someone who's supports the help desk, someone who's a content lead. We have someone else who's an instructional designer, and they all have very unique and different experiences. And it's a very rich tapestry of what they bring to the table, from their own experiences to heritage, to things that happen in their lives, to skills, to hobbies. And I think that really is what I try to focus on in terms of my work, in bringing those pieces out and bringing those stories out as a team and within my team, because I think it's important for us to get to know each other and understand that, I might be a Latina and then someone else might prefer to be called Hispanic. And as George Lopez will say, I don't want anything that has the name panic in it. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things, but I think it is important to really contemplate how we can all bring our own personal stories to the table and not so much one versus the other, given everything that has transcurred. So to me, that's just really my goal in that. And obviously I like to be, as a very Latina mother, like make sure that everyone's happy and engaged and connected. So I really make sure that we as a team are thinking about how those connections are important and that they extend outside of our task or 9-to-5 kind of situations.
Absolutely. Thank you. And it is really important to think about our perspectives and our experiences and what we bring to work. And then, in a normal environment, I feel like we'd be talking at each other's desks and running into each other and maybe having lunch, together in the kitchen or wherever, a break room. And, many of you tuning in may still be working on site, but right now during a pandemic, there are less situations to be with someone and actually have those conversations and get to know each other at a personal level. And so to be able to bring those experiences and perspectives into your work and take the time to get to know each other professionally during the work and in the work that you do is so important, I think, now more than ever. So that's amazing that you think that way and that you bring that to your team, to Lucky Team.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. Do you have any advice or inspiration for those tuning in and for early childhood professionals as we work toward promoting diversity and equity in the early childhood field overall?
That's a loaded question. I just think that, and so I think at the end of the day, what we should all keep in mind is if we have a way to tackle the systems that we work in, to make the impact that we want to make, I think we should do that. But we should also recognize that because of the societal structures that we live in, there are things that are not within our control. And a lot of times it's really hard to let go of that. A lot of times it's we carry on a lot of baggage and thinking that we can control and change a lot of things for which we can't. So I think it's really important to, as Michael Jackson's song says, take a look in the mirror and, think about who's looking back at you. And like how you perceive those challenges, how you perceive those situations, and how you respond to them. I think that's the most important thing. Because at the end of the day, it's really, if you're able to sleep, it's if you're happy with the work that you accomplished during the day, if you're happy with the fact that you're a mom or the fact that you're someone that is a grandmother or, whatever your personal situation is. So just being very in the time and place, which I know sounds very cliche, but we are in a world where there's nothing predictable and there's nothing that we have 100% control. So it's more about being in the time, making sure that there are things that you can't control. And even if you think you can, that is just going to be impossible to establish sort of that perfect system in place. And I think also as a Latina, I'm very bubbly and very positive. And I don't know if it's a Latina or if it's just my upbringing and my own personal story. So I'm sorry if I offended anyone with that remark. I didn't mean to, but we're just very loud and bubbly and happy people. And I check that box 100% of the time. So that also helps me get through a lot of things.
Thank you. I feel like a lot of the questions were in your work, but I feel like as a mom, a lot of what you reflected on and shared with us probably comes from being a mom as well. And when I hear you share your advice for those in the early childhood fields, I feel like you've got such a great mindset to share with your little one. Kind of like pave the way and give them good direction in this, in regards to diversity, equity, and inclusion. So thank you for sharing that, and thank you for taking the time today to answer these questions and share with the 0 to 3 network some of your experiences and perspectives. It's so insightful, and Hispanic Heritage Month it really is such an amazing month to celebrate. So much culture. And right now, the Hispanic American population is so high in the United States. It's something we absolutely have to celebrate that culture and make the world aware of everything that this culture brings to this country. So thank you so much.
Así que Melissa, muchísimas gracias por tu tiempo. Sé que tú y yo hemos tenido la oportunidad de compartir, ya que trabajamos en la misma oficina en Washington antes de la pandemia. Y también pues tenemos unas experiencias muy parecidas en términos de que somos madres, somos latinas, bueno, diferentes cosas. Pero sí me gustaría darle el agradecimiento a las personas que nos están viendo, también a la organización porque está tomando el tiempo para tomar nota de nosotros los latinos que estamos dentro de la organización, ya que somos muchos y la organización, y hay muchos que pues no hemos tenido el placer de conectarnos con ellos ni en persona por las circunstancias que se han vivido en estos últimos 2 años. Entonces, les agradecemos mucho por su tiempo y Melissa, gracias a ti de nuevo. Un abrazo, chao.